Hi guys, and welcome to this week's episode of Bigman Gaming. This week there really hasn't been much going on, unfortunately. I know there's not really been any new releases, and last week I talked about maybe doing the new Borderlands 2 DLC, but it's really not as exciting as I thought it would be, and so there's not a whole lot going on, and it's unfortunate because for someone like me that reports on the new things that are going on for video games, it's kind of hard. But I do have a lot of news, so hopefully that'll kind of fill your information for this week. First off, I've got a lot of things to talk about for Sony. Right away, get this out there that they decided to sell their American headquarters. The building in New York, they sold it for about $1.1 billion, if I remember correctly, and that's actually going to help recoup some of their losses in investing in games and making some of the games. I know a lot of people that I called Sony fanboys, whatever you want to call them, are like, oh, Sony's doing real well, but honestly, with this, that help them recoup some of their losses. I want to say about $748 million, they said, it helped recoup, so that's good. Where they're going to go, nobody's real sure, but the rumor is that they're going to probably head out to California, which makes sense because, you know, Microsoft is out there, and they do a lot of stuff based on Pacific time. So, you know, if they're out there with their corporation or with their competition, they can kind of be on that same level. So Sony decided to finally in America release a white PlayStation 3. I know for us Americans, we got all giddy once we saw one in Japan. They were like, oh yeah, we can have a white one. And it took them a while, but it's finally here, which is surprising to say because Xbox, they have, you know, Gears of War 3, the multiple Halo consoles that they did. They did Final Fantasy 13, they did one. The Modern Warfare, they made so many different consoles, and PlayStation's like, we're just going to do black. But finally, you get the white one. It's 500 gigabyte hard drive, and I believe it goes for $299.99. So if you wanted to get the white one, there you go. It's finally coming out, and you'll have a chance to own one. Also with PlayStation news, there's a couple of rumors floating around with them, with their new system, whether they're calling it the PlayStation 4 or the Orbis, whatever they decide to call it. It was stated that there's going to be some big news coming out about May or June for them. They also stated that they weren't going to come out and state when the new console's coming out. They did say, though, that they were going to after Microsoft announced theirs. So we'll see. Will it happen at E3? You know, because it could happen the day after, you know, or it could be some other con that they'll have it. So we'll see what happens when the release date is for that. Then for controllers, there's been rumors floating around with that too. I know PlayStation said they kind of wanted to get rid of the 6-axis and get rid of that. So we'll see what happens. They've been kind of, from what I hear, leaning more towards what the Wii U did, where it'll have the touch screen. So we'll see. Otherwise, there's also a rumor floating around, since the PlayStation 3 controllers are Bluetooth, that they will work with the Orbis or PlayStation 4 or whatever it's called. So we'll have to wait and see on that. But those are some of the rumors that are flying around with that. Alright, and then getting away from the PlayStation stuff, just onto basic video game news. There have been some screenshots lately from Valve, and a lot of people are speculating that it's from the new Half-Life, which is surprising because the screenshots are actually from about 2007, 2008, and Valve confirmed that it was actually a canceled project, Half-Life 2 Episode 4, which once again kind of proves that Valve doesn't know what the number 3 is. Yeah, you could say, well, it's Episode 4, so obviously they had to have Episode 3. Yeah, but you've got Left 4 Dead 2, you've got Portal 2, you've got Half-Life still at 2, you know, you've got all these games that they make. Team Fortress 2. You know, you got these games that they make, but it's like they hit 2 and then they hit a wall. So I don't know if Valve is ever going to realize what the number 3 is and make a third for any of these games, but we'll see. But yeah, if you do see those pictures floating around, do know that it was for Half-Life 2 Episode 4, which ended up being canceled way back in 2008. But it's big now because a lot of people are seeing them now and they're spreading the rumors. Also, Disney announced that they're going to make a new game called Disney Infinity. It's kind of based off of Skylanders, that type of style where you're going to have little toys that you use to actually play the game. Disney has said that there's going to be about 40 different collectible toys that you can have, all based on the Disney universe. Then there's also going to be these things that are called power discs, which are going to actually be used to power up the characters. And then the cool thing is that the characters themselves are actually going to be customizable. So it's not like you're going to get a default thing and that's how they look. You can actually make them look how you want. Finally, I don't know, some people may say this is good, some people may say this is bad. To me, I'd say it's good because it needs to be put to rest, but finally, Halo 2, we can say goodbye. I know the servers for the Xbox got shut down quite a while back, but the PC version is actually going to be shut down in about a month, which it doesn't affect too many people. I think they said from the recent scans of how many people are playing games, I think they said about 20 people are on their servers. So not really, you know, if you're one of the 20 people, we apologize, but in about a month, Halo 2 is going to be down. But it's time to finally put it to rest. You know, that game was such a huge milestone for multiplayer on Xbox that it's made first-person shooters what it is today, and it's about time. You know, it's older, it needs to be put down to rest, and we say goodbye to Halo 2. Alright, just getting into some general video game news. The unlicensed World of Warcraft theme park over in China has been completed. They said it was about $48 million that it took to make it, but they are already deciding to add on a water expansion park, which is crazy considering they just finished the regular one. I myself, being a WoW player, would love to see this and see what it's about. I've just seen pictures, and from the pictures it looks amazing. So if you get a chance, look it up, check out the pictures. If you were lucky enough to get a chance to go there, do it. I would definitely say do it. It looks gorgeous. One thing I want to state, I know usually I talk about Microsoft quite a bit. Hasn't been a whole lot coming from them. Just recently there's a rumor, don't know if this is official, but there's a rumor that instead of having, like with Xbox Live, you have the party or private chat, they're going to incorporate Skype. So that way you're going to be using that pretty much throughout the whole thing and get rid of everything else. Which would be kind of cool because if it's, you know, video and audio and you're playing at the same time, that'd be pretty nifty. So we'll see what happens there. Also, the people that own a Wii U, I know you guys are frustrated with the load times, with games and apps and updates and everything. It's just ridiculous. Well, there's good news and bad news. They decided that they are going to do an update to make load times faster and updates faster and apps run faster. The only problem is they're not sure if they're going to be able to do it as an update, you know, say via, like, you know, with Xbox Live where they do dashboard updates. They're not sure if they're going to be able to do that. So it may be, you know, if you got a Generation 1 Wii U, you might be stuck with those slow load times and they might put out a whole new console. Which is unfortunate, and that's kind of one of the reasons why I wait when a new console comes out, because stuff like this happens. So we'll see what happens with that. Also, real quick, Jay Wilson, director of Diablo 3, decided to leave the project, and he's going to work on something else. Now, he's not leaving Blizzard. He's still within Blizzard, but he's leaving the project of Diablo 3 and stepping down as director, and they had a new guy take over. The project that he's on hasn't been announced, but with my guess, it's probably going to be Project Titan. Now, for those of you that know what that is, I don't really need to explain it. For the ones that don't, it's pretty much Blizzard's new MMO that they're going to be coming out with. Something that I've heard is going to be what takes over after World of Warcraft slowly dies down. We'll see what happens, but as of right now, there's a new director on Diablo 3. We'll see how he does. I know there's a lot of people that love Diablo 3, and there's a lot of people that hate it, you know, based off of Diablo 2. So, I don't know. We'll see how well this guy does, and hopefully goes in the right direction and everything goes well. I personally see Diablo 3 going in a good direction with the updates they've been doing and making things go more smoothly. So, here's to see what happens next. Alright guys, I know at the beginning of this I said there really wasn't much for me to talk about, but there's kind of two subjects on my mind that when I was looking up news and finding it for you guys that kind of hit home with me, that I felt needs to be talked about. One of them comes from Sony, and I didn't mention it earlier, but then there's another one that actually has to do with the government in America. So I'll talk about the Sony one first. They patented for their next console. This has actually been out quite a while, but it's finally something I decided to talk about. They patented for the next console where they're going to get rid of used games. They're going to make an anti-used game system where I don't know how exactly they're going to do it, if you have to put in a code for your game, or once you put in your disc, that it reads the disc and takes numbers off of it, and then you can only play it on that system, or how it's going to work. But they made it so that way you can't, which kind of sucks, because not just for, you know, a store like GameStop, but if, for instance, a friend of mine wants to borrow the game just to see how it is, I can't do that anymore. You know, I can't go to somebody and be like, hey, I really like this game, try it out. Can't happen, because it won't allow it. So, and then if I have multiple systems, I know as a gamer, there's a lot of people that'll have a system in their bedroom, or a system in their living room, or wherever else they have one, and you won't be able to take it from, you know, the one in your living room to the one in your bedroom, or wherever else you know you might want to have one in your office. So you can't do that. I know there's a lot of companies, you know, for instance, Rooster Teeth. They built their company off of video games, and if they're, you know, doing a video for whatever one of their videos, they can't take it from one system to the next. They have to do it at one system, and if they buy a game for the company, it has to stay on one system, and it's kind of unfortunate. You know, we'll see if Microsoft and Nintendo decide to follow along, but as for Sony, I don't think that it was a smart move. I know it's been talked about for a while, but I don't see it as something that is profitable in the long run from them. I think it actually will hurt them. Now, the big issue that I'm having issues with as a gamer, and I'm sure a lot of American gamers will have issues with, is that they are trying to pass a new bill. It's already been brought up by a Democrat named Jim Matheson. It's a bill, as of right now, it's called H.R. 287. Pretty much, he's trying to make the ESRB legally binding, and it pretty much states that anyone that sells or rents, or attempts to sell or rent, a game that's adult only to anyone under the age of 18, or then if they try to do it with a mature game under the age of anyone that's under 17, it'll be illegal to do so. That they can be fined about $5,000 per infraction. Which, as of right now, you know, people don't really do. You know, I go to GameStop and they ask me for my ID to this day, and I'm 26. You know, and a lot of times it's parents that encroach that. You know, parents will go with and be like, oh, I'm buying this for my kid. You know, it's real hard with something like that. I know a while back, California actually tried to do this law for the state, and the court said no. So we'll see what happens as a country, how the courts will decide, and how the bill will be decided. And honestly, I hope it doesn't pass, because it's something where, and I hate to say this, but, you know, a tragedy in our country is taken, and then they try to put the blame on something. And right now, it's violent video games. And as for me personally, I played a lot of video games. I still play a lot of violent video games. And growing up, they were therapeutic for me. I didn't have exactly a great childhood. I didn't have the best life, if you want to say. You know, my parents were divorced early. I had, you know, step-parents on both sides. There's a lot of problems. And at the end of the day, I like to sit down and I like to play video games that, whether they were violent or not. You know, I had my Nintendo 64 and I played Star Fox, and I played Road Rash 64. I played, you know, WWF No Mercy. Oh boy, I played GoldenEye. There's a lot of games that I played. Paper Mario. There was a lot of games that I played on that system, and some of them were violent, some of them weren't. But they were therapeutic. And you don't see me doing things that, oh my god, he plays video games, he's an evil person. I'm not going to go too in-depth with it, but I'm just saying, if our country is taking this step, you guys need to watch it, keep your eye on it. and especially speak out. As gamers, we need to speak out and be like, hey, this isn't you know, our fault. This isn't, you know, whatever they're deciding. Somebody needs to do something. Somebody needs to keep an eye on it. People need to speak out. So there you go, guys. What's on my mind? What's concerning me with that? But there's your news for this week, and I hope to check you guys out next week. And I'm really hoping I'll have something for you. It's kind of tough at the beginning of the new year when there's not a whole lot going on. So I will definitely catch you guys next week. And for those of you that are in this cold weather, I know being in Wisconsin, it's kind of tough. So you guys stay warm, and hopefully it'll start to warm up here soon eventually. Catch you guys next week.
It was a nightmare.
Tucker had to dump that. Woof. I'm going to hell, aren't I?